Punchy Panda Show. Thanks for joining us. We made it another day. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. Let's just jump into the 251 aftermath. Let's just jump into our main event of the evening. We have Kamaru Usman defeating Jorge Masvidal by unanimous decision, and a fight that we kind of knew exactly how it was going to go. It looks like the clinch and the size advantage of Kamaru Usman was a definite factor in the fight. Jorge Masvidal looked in tremendous shape. He looked sharp, crisp. He looked like, I don't know if he was actually sparring or not, but he looked like he was landing shots on target, very accurate, very crisp work he did on the feet. And even getting up off the ground, Kamaru Usman was 4 of 12 in takedowns. And that's just outstanding considering the fact that everyone knows Jorge Masvidal is his backyard ground and pound striker mainly. But his jiu-jitsu was very good defensively. Kamaru Usman wasn't really hurt on the feet or on the ground, but he definitely made a great showing of himself. As far as the champion, man, Kamaru Usman put on a class of exactly why wrestling is the cornerstone of mixed martial arts. I said it before in the last show that the ability to grapple and the ability to dictate where the fight goes is going to be something that Jorge Masvidal is going to have to overcome, and he just wasn't able to do it this time. Usman was the bigger guy. He was stronger. He was a little bit craftier on the feet, landing a couple big shots himself. And when I mean craftier on the feet, I mean that he was able to chain his takedowns with his wrestling, which is very hard to do, especially with someone who is as dangerous and as good as boxer as Masvidal. As far as what's next from here, first of all, genius work bringing in Trevor Whitman. I don't know if going forward Trevor Whitman is going to be a part of the stable. I know Gilbert Burns is waiting in the wings, of course, due to the COVID bastard. We're unable to get that fight this week, but supposedly that's going to be next. So maybe he sticks with Trevor Whitman for the next camp, but Trevor Whitman had an amazing game plan. He knew what Jorge Masvidal was going to do. Multiple times he told him in the corner, we're just going to touch, make sure that we are sticking to the game plan, and Masvidal only has one chance. He's going to go for the big one. He's going to make sure that that doesn't happen. And we'll talk about him a bit later with the Rose fight, but just a masterful work for Jorge Masvidal, and Kamaru Usman showing why he is truly the number one at welterweight. As far as what's next here, something I'm really not mentioned and I haven't really heard often is something that Jorge Masvidal mentioned pre-fight, that if he became champion, he'd like to rematch Wonder Boy Thompson. I feel like that is a very competitive and is a striker's delight fight. BMF versus the MMF. We can sell that. ESPN already has the footage, and at the end of the day, that's going to get Masvidal back on track. He won't have to worry too much about the grappling. If he fights Colby Covington, perhaps, he'll have to worry about that. And then that'll be 2 losses in a row, and that's really going to dwindle his star power. So I would like to see like I said, Stephen Thompson fight. He could even do a Leon Edwards fight. We can replay that footage. There's a lot of things that we can go with. As far as Usman, it's already been booked once. We might as well just go with the Burns fight. Keep it fresh for Trevor Whitman. Doesn't really look like he took a lot of damage in the fight. Maybe, like he said, during the post-fight, he was a little banged up. But at the end of the day, it looked like he could bounce back pretty quick. The UFC is going to need some high-level competitions, main event fights. And Kamaru Usman, after getting the rub from Masvidal, is going to be a huge star. In the co-main event, let's just say how it is, an utter travesty and robbery for one of the greatest featherweights ever, in the form of the split decision win for Alexander Volkanovski over Max Holloway. I'm going to be upfront about this. I'm going to have to watch this fight for a third and fourth time to figure out in which universe, dimension, and time pocket wormhole that Alexander Volkanovski won that fight. Just please explain to me how a man gets knocked down 2 times, separate rounds, and the other man doesn't win the fight. It's just, I don't want to hear the argument of round by round, because Max Holloway won rounds 1, 2, and 3 clearly and cleanly. Alexander Volkanovski didn't take as many takedowns. Max Holloway landed more. I just can't understand how the adjustments that Max Holloway brought to the table in the contest weren't enough for the judges to see that he warranted the clear decision. He shut down Volkanovski's leg kick. He was able to use his footwork way more advanced, going in and out, shooting his jab out there. The body work from both men was impeccable. But Max Holloway was the clear winner. And I'm not going to beat a dead horse. We all know that this event was taking place in Yas Island. We all know that at the very end of the day, these are junior at best. Alright, let's not call them junior. But these aren't the highest level MMA judges that they could possibly find. They probably didn't even do enough due diligence to make sure that these judges were better. Dana White said he's going to have to tighten up judges and refereeing, which we'll get to in a second, ironically. But this is something that's terrible. And it makes me fear for the flyweight title fight, with the stakes being so high and how technical those young men can be. And for goodness sakes, if you knock down a guy 2 times, what else more could you do to win a round? And the decision 48-47 on 2 cards is ridiculous. You're giving Alexander Gustafsson, never would Alexander Gustafsson go out like that. You're giving Volkanovski literally a round that he got knocked down in. That's insanity to me. And something's got to stop. I never have seen a trilogy happen in UFC where the guy lost twice, but this definitely could be one. Do this on American soil. Shoot, let's make it Fight Island in Hawaii next time. Goodness gracious. This is a terrible tragedy, a bad spot on the featherweight title picture and the division as a whole at the moment. And we got to do better as a sport. We got to reward these men who put their hearts, souls, lives, and spirits out there and on the line. We got to do better. And Max Holloway deserves a rematch. I'm going to repeat it for the 3rd time. Give Max Holloway his rematch. Let's move down the card here in our next bout of the night. Man, what a contest between Peter Yan and Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo showing the heart of a champion, showing that he is still a force at any division that he chooses to fight at. But Peter Yan, man, let's get to the actual conclusion of the fight. TKO at 3:24 of the 5th round. Peter Yan is a beast. Savagely beat Jose Aldo for around 2 minutes in the 5th round, and the referee could have did a little bit more to save one of the greatest featherweights and UFC fighters in history. Man, Aldo got beat to a pulp after showing great championship mettle in rounds 1 and 2. Aldo was looking amazing, showing the Aldo of old. You know, his leg kicks were on point, swept Yan off his feet at one point. He had to switch to his Thai boxing stance in round 2, and they just banged it out there. Very even. Check my notes real quick, and goodness gracious, the body work from both men was incredible. Very even from the body and the head from both men. Very impressed at how Yan was able to go tit for tat with Aldo and adjust his style midway in round 3. And that's when things started to change a lot. The young man just did not slow down. Aldo did. Aldo's power did not faze Yan, and unfortunately, he does not have the youth and the gas tank to match that young Mustang. He just kept coming, walking down Aldo, and by the end of round 4, Aldo was wearing it. He wasn't battered or bloody, but we could see the writing on the wall. Things were going downhill from there, and then round 5 was just a massacre. And the heart of Jose Aldo was there. He never wanted to quit. He could have tapped out and stopped from getting punched in the head, but he didn't. He waited for the referee to literally pull Jan off, and it took a long time. Oh, man. These two folks fought in a phone booth, though, and at the end of the day, you have to agree that Jose Aldo deserved that title fight. All the naysayers, at the end of the day, you guys don't know what you're talking about. He's first ballot UFC Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest fighters in UFC history. And name another guy who's going to stand in front of Peter Yan and fight him in a phone booth like that. Just name another guy. They don't really exist like that. And they're not really bred in that way anymore. Personally, we still have the Tony Fergusons out there and Justin Gaethjes, but Jose Aldo will fight anybody in any division, and he's tough as hell. Please don't ever sleep on Jose Aldo again. I don't know if he should continue fighting in this bantamweight division. We already know that Jan and Sterling is next, but Marlon Moraes rematch will be excellent. But unless he can finish these bantamweights, I feel like the gas tank is going to be Jose Aldo's biggest issue and his biggest hurdle to get over. His head movement was pretty good too. Just going back over my notes. Man, I just want to mention that Jan is just such a great guy. I remember when he fought Jimmy Rivera, everything seemed pretty even until the very end of the round, and I was reminded that round 1, when Jose Aldo went for that takedown, Peter Yan was able to get on top and hit him in the body and really hurt Aldo at the very end of round 1. He's just so good at closing rounds on top and closing rounds being the stronger guy and just figuring out a way on how to steal rounds. Even at such a young age, he's only 27 years old and he's already a UFC champion with that type of foresight. He was able to power through Jose Aldo's strongest shots. He was able to evade Jose Aldo's takedown and grappling, and most importantly, he was able to stand in front of him and use his own strength to overcome the former featherweight king. Peter Yan deserves it. Piotr Yan is our new bantamweight champion, and good on him. He definitely deserves it. Rounding out the main card, we have Amanda Rebus absolutely demolishing Paige Vanzant in a little bit under 2 minutes. Taking her back, taking her down, almost snapping her arm. Is what all of the pundits were saying, that there was just no way for poor old PVZ to win this fight. Coming into free agency, looks like she might need to jump ship or take a pay cut, and she wasn't looking like the money was worth it. Dana White alluded to Curtis Blades complaining in a very similar situation, so not looking good for Paige. Great look on the 4-0 Amanda Rebus. Looks like she's a big deal. Looks like she's doing big things. Took this fight at a weight class above, so once she goes back down to strawweight, I'd like to see her get a real contender, Tisha Torres maybe, or somebody up in that upper echelon. Maybe even that Carla Esparza, Marita Rodriguez winner. That could look good. Or even a loser, since she's so short in her career. Speaking of short in her career, Yuri Prochazka. That guy is amazing. Coming from Ryzen, highly touted, and light heavyweight just got an injection of Czech super athlete. He sends Volkanovski to bye-bye land at the very end of round 2 after a very entertaining round 1 where he was actually almost finished. Goodness gracious. Egging on no time. Looking away, hands down, doing this wrist shuffle thing. Very unorthodox, very entertaining, and boy, oh boy, he's going to have a very successful UFC career with that type of fighting style. When I say successful, I mean monetary. He's not going to be able to get away with all those things that he got away with Ozdemir. But Ozdemir is one of the best strikers and the heaviest hands in the division, so it's not all the way bad. Speaking of all the way bad, basically the rest of the card. I love how I can just transition that way. I'm so good at that. I'm too good. too sweet. But we did have a couple standout performances. Makwan Amirkhani getting that slick submission choke. Anaconda over a man who's never been beaten twice. That was pretty impressive. We have Davey Grant coming in after a long layoff, getting a KO to open the card. That's how you do it, boy. That's how you do it. Very, very entertaining. A lot of decisions on the card of Snooze Fest by Marcin Tybura against a light heavyweight. Boo. Shame on you. But very entertaining flyweight bout between Paiva and ZZ. Will not say his name. Will not try to say his name either. But it just looked like the length and the experience of Paiva was just too much for that guy in his UFC debut. Maxim Grishin looked good. He was pretty decent. Just to separate himself from the terrible job that Tybura did. I would like to see him come back down to light heavyweight and see what he has. But all in all, it's a great card. Slow at times, but that main card definitely made up for some of the sours. And that is going to be a wrap, ladies and gentlemen, and anybody in between. Thank you so much for joining the Punchy Panda show. It's me, Keep Good Keith on Twitter. Thank you so much. Make sure that you share this video. The only way we get more voices in MMA is if you guys let these voices be heard. Like the video, subscribe, and comment if you can too. And I'm always here to speak. So, just jump into the DMs. Thank you so much. Always punch up, Panda fam. And I'll see you folks next time.